Gift the remarkable with Marc Jacobs fragrances this holiday season. From the iconic Daisy and Perfect to the all-new Daisy Wild, Marc Jacobs perfume gift sets include everything she needs to feel special. From her favorite fragrance, plus the matching travel spray. Holiday gifts don't get much more perfect than this. So if you're looking for a gift inspiration these holidays, gift the remarkable with Marc Jacobs.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a one-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
I'm Candice Lim, and you're listening to ICYMI. In case you missed it, Slate's podcast about internet culture. And joining me on today's episode is an internet culture reporter for the Wall Street Journal. It's Anne-Marie Alcantara. Hello, Anne-Marie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course, this is your first time on the show. Therefore, I have to ask you the question we ask all first-time guests, which is, what is your first internet memory?
This wasn't really hard for me to think about because I think my first one was definitely creating my AIM username with my best friend. I don't even know how old I was. I couldn't tell you our age, but her username was 2thumbsup123. And of course, as her best friend, I was 2thumbsup456. So it was my first username.
Okay, and let's really ask the questions here. Do you remember who were like the first people you sent messages to on AIM?
It was probably her, and then probably all of my middle school like crush and friends.
There you go. There you go. I just think it's so funny because sometimes I look back and I'm like, AIM was, in a weird way, it was Hinge. It was Tinder. It was a little bit of Bumble, especially when you went to like a high school, middle school where like there were multiple high schools and you were like, well, I know my friend's on the water polo team and I know that he just played someone on the other water polo team and I'd like to know more about him. AIM was the foundation for where we are now.
100%.
Well, Anne-Marie, I'm so excited to have you on the show today because we are going to talk about one of my favorite activities to do when I am not working. But the other activity I love to do when I'm not working is going to the movies. And guess what? This weekend, we have I think probably the two biggest movies of the year coming out. It's Wicked and Gladiator 2. Let's start here. Anne-Marie, are you going to watch either, both, neither of these movies?
Definitely going to watch both. I have tickets to see Gladiator 2 in the big IMAX 70 millimeter blah, blah, blah thing in Lincoln Square. And then trying to figure out Wicked tickets because it's also very sold out. And I'm trying to watch it on, I think Dolby Vision is like the recommended screen to see it on.
Do you think it's fair to say that this is going to be the Barbenheimer of 2024? Are we entering the same hype cycle marketing strategy?
I don't think so. Barbenheimer was so like natural and it felt really driven by fans. Not even because they loved Barbie or Oppenheimer so much, but just because they liked creating this random moment with each other, whereas Glicked feels a little more manufactured.
Glicked obviously being the natural combination of the words Wicked and Gladiator. I think the other funny thing, too, is that Gladiator 2 is a sequel. People love the first film. So there's kind of that natural fandom. And I mean, if we're going to talk about natural fandom, Wicked has it in the bag. Which movie do you think is going to be bigger at the box office opening weekend?
I mean, I hope it's Wicked because of all the marketing they've been doing. If it's not, like, what have we all been doing here? You know, there's a 7-Eleven for it. There's just so much marketing. I'm like, I hope it wins.
Yeah. I mean, I think Wicked, they're putting on the Despicable Me press. They're definitely trying to get into every corner of our lives. And I have to admit, so I think that Wicked is going to be like a $1 billion movie. I just think that like, even though the Cynthia Erivo stuff, the like Ariana Grande, Ethan Slater stuff, despite all of that, I do think this movie is going to be like probably monoculture enough to kind of take the internet culture away of it and be like, but everyone's coming out for it. Gladiator 2. I think what's a little interesting is that, like, I don't see as much marketing for it.
Honestly, the only marketing I've seen that has stood out for Gladiator has been the popcorn bucket, naturally, which If you haven't seen it, it's supposed to look like a Coliseum.
Wait, what is it?
It's the Coliseum popcorn bucket. I don't know where your hand or where the popcorn sits. I guess within the Coliseum. I don't know if it opens or yeah.
Well, Anne-Marie, I'm going to see you at the theaters this weekend. And in the meantime, I'm so excited to have you on the show because Black Friday is coming up. And for our listeners fighting capitalism, Black Friday is the day after Thanksgiving. It's when places like Best Buy and Walmart have these massive sales on things like TVs and appliances. But one of the biggest players in online shopping and Cyber Monday culture is probably Amazon. And this year, I wonder if the big ticket item will be the Kindle, which started as an e-reader and has now become a lifestyle thanks to TikTok. So let's take a break. When we come back, I'm going to ask Anne-Marie how the Kindle went from a nerdy bookworm accessory to a calling card of the soft, girly pop lifestyle. This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it can mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states. It's always fun to dive into the latest rumors, like who's dating who, and who will be on the next season of our favorite show. Well, here's one rumor to squash, the idea that Discover isn't widely accepted. Truth is, Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. That means it's accepted basically anywhere across the country. Don't pay attention to every rumor out there, but remember, it does pay to discover, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard. Hey listeners, hope you're enjoying today's show. If this is your first time listening, then welcome. We are thrilled to have you here. In case you missed it, our show comes out twice a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays, so make sure you never miss an episode like this past Wednesdays, when Vox senior correspondent Rebecca Jennings helped me explain princess treatment, the 4B movement, and women in male fields. And we're back. I am here with Anne-Marie, who reports on internet culture for the Wall Street Journal. You wrote a great piece for WSJ. It's called How the Kindle Became a Must-Have Accessory Again, which is so funny because I do think there was something in the air surrounding the way Kindles took over my TikTok For You page this year. The very first line of your piece says that the Kindle is getting the Stanley Cup treatment. So let's start there. When did you realize, oh, the Kindle is having a moment. I need to write about this?
Yes, pretty much like any, millennial lady who likes to read and, grew up reading and is now naturally a journalist. I constantly read. I've always had a Kindle. So to me, it's just always something I've had. And, I've checked out books, etc. But then I started noticing, and I will add, I'm naturally influenced very easily on the internet. And so I think the first TikToks I saw were people in their bed with their little tablet stand thingy, reading their Kindle, and, they're under the covers and just really cozy and hands-free. And I was like, what is this device? I want that in my life. I run really cold as well. So it's purely a personal investment into the category. And then I just discovered this whole Kindle accessory world where it's not just the stand, it's also the clicker, and it's the charms that you put at the, where your USB-C or USB cord would go in at the bottom of the Kindle. It's the pop socket world. It's the stickers and the clear case, and then also the cute cases, and people also having multiple Kindles. It felt like it wasn't just like book talkers or even just, 20 people on the internet. It felt, especially looking at the comments, that it was something many people just wanted to do and were trying to become first-time owners of Kindles.
I think my favorite trend to come out of this is when people will be like, my boyfriend has adopted my lifestyle, and it's a guy like in bed, cozy blankets, cozy socks, face mask on, clicker with the Kindle, Stanley Cup in hand. And it's like, oh, like this might be the new like basic girl starter pack in the way that like Outdoor Voices, Away Luggage, Warby Parker's kind of were. I did want to ask, the title of your piece asks how the Kindle became a must-have accessory again. Why again?
So when the Kindle first came out, it was something that lots of people gravitated towards. And because it was, a pretty good price point, and honestly, it lasts forever. It's very rare that, dies on its own, basically. And especially throughout the years, they've added waterproofing and USB-C charging. It's just something people have always had. And especially when I talk to parents in the office and elsewhere, their families will have tons of Kindles, whether it's the Fire tablets or just, the natural e-reader. And then after speaking to Amazon as well, honestly, where they mentioned that people under 45 are the Kindle's fastest growing customer segment, it's like, oh, it's having a moment again. Clearly, like people are gravitating towards it again, whether they're first-time owners or repeat buyers.
Yeah, I think you're hitting on something there, which is that the Kindle used to kind of be seen as quite unsexy, meaning it wasn't like the hot new iPad you need to get. It's not the Oculus. It instead was kind of seen as like hardware. And part of that's just because it literally looks just like hardware. It kind of looks like a hard drive to me sometimes. But I kind of want to give some backstory into like how we got here. The first thing to note is that this month, the Kindle will have been out for 17 years. And when it first came out in 2007, there was obviously some controversy to the e-reader as a statement. The first thing is that in 2007, that was the same year the iPhone was released. So there was this kind of interesting relationship with handhelds in general. And that relationship is so different now. But I think the thing about the Kindle coming out was there was this huge debate about like the experience of reading physical books versus ebooks. There were questions about royalties and were authors making enough money off of ebooks. There was obviously the question about like if people are borrowing ebooks from their libraries, what about the independent bookstore? And I want to note that you actually could buy an ebook from an independent bookstore. It just links out to like Rakuten or something like that. But I think this is also complicated by the Kindle being a product of Amazon. And the company was like 13 years old at the time. Fans of brick and mortar bookstores were taking sides. Obviously, Amazon's growth was making it harder for independent bookstores to survive. That's literally the plot of You've Got Mail. And yet, as with all culture, during the pandemic, print and ebook sales went up. Do you have any theories as to why Kindle's kind of got a resurgence during the pandemic?
It's the same thing that we've seen with like Barnes and Noble spiking like crazy and becoming a place where people love to gather now and buy books. It's, people were stuck in their homes, tired of their screens, whether it was Zoom calls or just watching TV, because what else did you have to do during the pandemic? That it was, e-ink and a Kindle and reading at least feels like a different kind of screen. It feels somewhat productive in a different way. And of course, the emergence of Book Talk and Colin Hoover and Romantasy and all these other things like absolutely led to people wanting to, buy these books.
I think during the pandemic, there was also definitely this big push for like, let's save the independent bookstore, go to their bookshop, support public libraries, especially when for like a year and a half, librarians could not physically welcome people into those spaces. The other thing is that like during the pandemic, a lot of us kind of reverted to the hobbies that we used to love as kids. So for example, you spoke to someone who read as a child, lost interest during high school, and then she kind of regained her reading habit during the pandemic and ended up buying a Kindle in 2020. Talking to the people you talked to, was there this general sense that like they increased their reading because of the Kindle, that their lives like maybe improved because of the Kindle?
100%. So many people, even if they weren't quoted in the story, mentioned that specific tidbit to me, that the Kindle just made it easy to read at any point that they wanted to, whether they were in the car waiting for something, in the grocery store waiting in line. For many of us who live in cities, public transportation, another place to read. It just became this device that, especially for first-time buyers, had no idea like how easy it was to carry and like without at any moment that they found themselves waiting and ready to read a book.
So let's talk about the Kindle girlies. Who are they? What do they post about? Are they a contingent that only exists online?
The Kindle girlies, I personally enjoy and love because they've opened the world to me of the Kindle accessory. But the Kindle girlies range from both, book talkers who are just showing off like the latest Kindle they have and how they're decorating it, to just the everyday sort of consumer person who just bought their first Kindle and like wants to show and make a video of how they're decorating their Kindle for the first time. But they definitely, sort of recommend the best tablet stand, how to accessorize. For those listeners who don't know, one popular thing that people do is get a clear case and then put stickers, and you can show off your personality through your stickers. But I think the most confusing aspect for many people is, how do you even put those stickers? How do they stay on the case? And so the Kindle girlies, teach you, and they're like, oh, I use double-sided tape, or I use a skin that I get from Etsy, and like all these like hacks and tips and tricks of like how to, show the world who you are while you're reading wherever through your Kindle. They also, go on to also help people learn how to use Libby and Overdrive, and, how to check out books, Kindle Unlimited, all these things that you can do with your Kindle, like highlights and notes. So they're like really teaching the masses how to make the most out of their Kindles.
I wonder if the reason the Kindle girlies are absolutely thriving is because they are a softer, more palatable version of the CNET bro, the tech guy who is honestly kind of condescending and a little bit kind of like, you didn't wait in line at 3 a.m. at the Glendale Galleria Apple Store, therefore you don't deserve to buy this product. And it's like, I think unfortunately we are kind of past that phase of making sure that like we are so up to date with tech that we don't seem stupid when we use it. And the Kindle girlies are very good at making you feel welcomed into the space. I wonder if that's part of the coziness. Is that something you've also sensed?
Yeah, I think so much of how people bought their first Kindle or learned how to use their Kindle has been through social media and from these Kindle girlies, where the Kindle girlies will talk about whatever popular book they're usually reading, which is, something on Book Talk, viral, maybe a romantasy book that, was viral 2 years ago, what have you. So that's already a first relatable point. It's not just like, get a Kindle and let's just start reading. It's like, let's get a Kindle to start reading the book that everyone else is reading, and then we can all talk about it.
Yeah. I think there are two Kindle accessories I want to talk about. The first one being the gooseneck stand and the page flipper remote. Can you just explain what these are, what they look like?
Yeah, so I don't have a headboard, so I can't attest to how good it is, but the gooseneck thingy, device accessory, basically you attach it, clip it onto your headboard, and then you can adjust the neck so that, you can have the Kindle above you or, in front of you, however you read in your life, as close to your face, as far away from your face, whatever you want. And then, of course, your hand and arms get tired, picking up your arms back and forth to go to the next page, that there's a page turner device. It's kind of like a 2-part device. There's like a little clicker guy thingy. These are very official terms that you've attached to your Kindle. But you have to be, I do have this product, so you have to be careful with it. You can't put it too close to the top of your Kindle because it'll activate the settings. So you got to find a sweet spot. And then there's another device that connects seamlessly with that. And you just can be under the covers or wherever you are on your couch far away and just click away to the next page of your book.
Yeah, and I'll just speak for myself. I'm a side sleeper, therefore I'm a side reader, and therefore the clicker absolutely is the device to have. You spoke to a Kindle owner named Se'era who said something amazing. Quote, "The Kindle gooseneck stand and the remote and the extraness of that's my equivalent to the movie buffs." And I've just never read something so brilliant because she's so right. I'm thinking about the fact that what the cinephile is to AMC A-list membership and Letterboxd, a reader is to the Kindle and the remote page flipper. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about how Kindle has kind of created an accessory economy thanks to TikTok. If you type in that word, Kindle accessories, there are more than 7.9 billion views on TikTok of videos pertaining to that. And the hype and the goal around the accessories you buy, in addition to the $160 Kindle, is that you're trying to create the coziest, most post-worthy reading setup. And I did want to ask, this idea of coziness, this idea of like blankets up, socks on, do you think there's a reason why the Kindle seems to be more of an inside activity, a home activity versus like a public activity where like people would bring out paperbacks to coffee shops to kind of flex on people?
I think it's literally because you can't show the cover of your book.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. At a bookstore or a coffee shop, you're reading a paperback or hardback, and you can literally see, what people are reading. Whereas the Kindle, there's a setting where you could show the cover on top of your Kindle, when it's asleep. But that's really only for yourself. It's really, can't show the world that you're reading the next romantasy book or something, I don't know, Cormac McCarthy or something. You can't show the world that with just your Kindle.
An interesting fact that you point out in your piece is that 60% of those who are buying Kindles are new buyers. And it is harder to convert a new buyer versus a second-time buyer. You spoke to someone, Catherine Miller, who literally self-identified as, quote, anti-e-readers club. And then she changed her mind and bought one. So what do you think is inspiring the conversion to buying a Kindle for the first time?
A big part of it has to be, and is, based on some of the people I spoke with, is the TikTok algorithm. They're just seeing videos over and over again of the Kindle girlies either reading the latest book or decorating their Kindle or buying a new, like a downstairs Kindle to go with their upstairs Kindle. And just, like many of us get influenced and then realize, oh, actually, this was a good influence. Now I can read more and I actually like this device.
Yeah. I have a question about your reporting in the piece, which is that I haven't really seen a lot of statistics about who is buying Kindles. And I kind of wonder, were you able to detect any patterns of like maybe class division in like who can afford Kindle, who can afford the accessories, like who tends to be kind of promoting this idea of like buying multiple Kindles because buying one is already an investment,
The only sort of data point I was able to get from Amazon is that people under 45 are Kindle's fastest growing like customer segment. But yeah, the multiple Kindle phenomenon is definitely, it's funny, I think, because there's also different sizes of the Kindle. So people are encouraging like your pocket Kindle, your purse Kindle. I think especially because of Amazon's, sort of biannual sales now that they have. I think that's usually when I also see it on my feed the most, of people being like, hey, the Kindle's about to go on sale. Don't buy it. Just wait it out. And like the Kindle girlies will tell people, when it's going to be on sale, if Target's doing price matching, et cetera, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. The way people talk about Prime Day on the Kindle subreddit is the exact same way people talk about Candle Day on the Bath & Body Works subreddit of like, hey guys, resist. Hey guys, de-influence yourself. Stand up, and don't walk into that store. And sometimes I'm kind of like, yeah, I've purchased both. I've literally purchased both because of TikTok, because of Reddit. But I want to ask you if there's been any pushback to Kindle mania. But first, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about who Book Talk benefits, who it hurts, and how Amazon made Kindle Talk happen. All that and more after the break. This episode is brought to you by Saks.com. There's joy in finding the perfect gift for the ones you love, but it can be a challenge. Saks.com's holiday gift guide makes it easy. Whether you're surprising your hard-to-shop for sister with a Chloe bracelet bag or gifting your partner a memorable scent from Gucci, at Saks.com, there's holiday inspiration for every personality on your list. I love using Saks.com because it is clean, easy to use, and so fun to scroll around for inspiration. I'm currently on the hunt for a really nice winter coat, and I'm also looking to put together some fun holiday looks, especially with all these Christmas parties coming around the corner. Now, thankfully, Saks has me covered because they have everything my friends have been begging me for, from Le Labo candles to Jo Malone London perfumes. And while I'm there, I might as well throw in these really cute Michael Kors boots I've been dying to gift myself. Saks.com's hand-picked guide can help take the stress out of the holidays. Add instant cheer to your home with some bright decor. Find gifts guaranteed to bring joy to everyone this holiday season at Saks.com. That's Saks.com for the ultimate holiday gift guide and all the shopping inspiration you need. It's always fun to dive into the latest rumors, like who's dating who and who will be on the next season of our favorite show. Well, here's one rumor to squash: the idea that Discover isn't widely accepted. Truth is, Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. That means it's accepted basically anywhere across the country. Don't pay attention to every rumor out there, but remember, it does pay to discover, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting. Go to your happy place for a happy price with Priceline's Black Friday sale. Save now and travel later with our best deals of the year.
Go to your happy price, Priceline.
And we're back. So, Anne-Marie, I kind of want to ask, how do you think the Kindle went from accessory to lifestyle? Because I do think the Kindle itself as a product was not enough to push sales to this extent. I think it was instead the TikTok economy around it. So this is like the gooseneck, the clippers, the huge round couch, the soft blankets, creating the reading nook, and just like that aesthetic of coziness that turned the Kindle into like a piece of furniture to create an entire life around. Why is the Kindle aesthetic kind of hitting people now as like aspirational or desirable?
I honestly think it comes back to when people used to buy a lot of books and do like the rainbow bookshelf trend for a bit.
Ooh.
If you remember that. Yeah, I think that was honestly kind of pre-pandemic times. But yeah, there's an aesthetic already building there of having your beautiful bookshelf. And then some people took it a step further beyond the rainbow bit and like would, have a bookshelf, but it would have their little trinkets and, little bits of their personality that showed not just what they read, but also who they were. And so now that Kindles have just come back into popularity again, I think it's the same idea. It's just people want to be proud of that they're readers and that they're reading and have better hobbies than, I guess, scrolling social media and TikTok and watching the same comfort show again. I'm not just describing myself. Yeah, it just seems like it stemmed from that a little bit, and now we're just seeing it play out in a different way. I think the trinkets that exist on your bookshelf are now the stickers on the back of your Kindle, or the little charm you put on your Kindle, like little plug-in area, and the pop socket you choose. It just seems like another evolution of that.
Yeah, I also wonder if maybe this is kind of the answer to the man cave of kind of like, I have my book corner and you have your vinyl listening room sessions. And there's something there about this idea that like all of these activities we're describing, you could do them on your couch, you could do them in your bedroom while you're like watching TV or whatever. But I think it is the desire to go off screen because like e-readers are like a different texture than like an iPad. And so they kind of lessen eye strain according to the National Institute of Health. And I wonder if that like quest for a visible physical space unto which you kind of log out from society is kind of where we're at right now, of people literally making full economies and like posting about it on TikTok and like posting that and like making money off of that is kind of what people want right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wish I lived in a bigger apartment or something, because I've definitely seen this like couch that the Kindle graphics are not a couch. It's like a chair that you can like then pull out in a kind of, I'm sure you've seen it too, but it looks so cozy. And then you put your blanket and your Kindle setup. It's funny because every time I see one of these videos, it is very also aesthetically pleasing at the same time. Like these people live in these cute little homes. They do also have the big bookshelves with all of the books in their lives in addition to their e-reader. And everything's just so cute and curated, and definitely gives me aspiration of like, oh, I want a corner like that someday. I want to be Belle from Beauty and the Beast with my like beautiful bookshelf.
Yeah. And I wonder if all of these corners, let's say, of the internet kind of represent corners of the homes that we desire. So like in one corner you have Kindle Talk. In one other corner, maybe like Wishbone Kitchen vibes. Are you a Wishbone Kitchen person?
I'm not, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, like that really soothing, like Bon Appetit test kitchen, kind of like Martha Stewart aesthetique. And then you have like GBBO, Great British Bake Off playing in the corner. I think in a weird way, every segment of your For You page is kind of creating the house that you wish to see. I'm not saying that everyone feels this way, and I'm not saying you should pay for it either, because let's be real, we can't afford everything in this life. But I now want to ask, do you think there's been any pushback to like Kindle Mania, Kindle Talk, even Book Talk maybe?
Yes, I know that a few new Kindles were announced. I want to say almost a month ago now. My timing might be off. 2 of the Kindles that came out, one has color for the first time and the other one just has a colored body. And so naturally people were very excited. And I saw many, many videos of people being like, listen, you don't need 2 Kindles. It's overconsumption again. Like, you don't need it. And then naturally I also saw the debate where people were like, you need a purse Kindle. You should have 2 Kindles. If you want it and you can afford it, like they do sync easily.
Right.
So I don't live in a house, but I can imagine if you leave your Kindle downstairs, but you're upstairs, you could have a upstairs Kindle and they sync and you can just immediately start reading again.
Yeah, it's so funny because when you speak about this anticipation for the new Kindles, it came to the point where I was on the subreddit for Kindle, and I remember 2 things. The first one being that people thought that they were coming out with new Kindles because there were Kindles going on clearance at Target for like $30. And everyone was kind of like, hey guys, rush to your Target now. These are exclusive deals, and these obviously indicate that they're discontinuing them to put in new ones. Lo and behold, they were actually right, because then I see on Reddit people being like, hey guys, I actually saw that Amazon filed copyrights and these are the papers, here are the PDFs, and we are getting 2 new Kindles. And I was like, first off, you guys could definitely use some jobs at like a copyright office. But second, they were totally right. And I think probably the most headline-worthy drama to come from the new line of Kindles is the Color Soft. And this was mainly for people to like do comic book reading or graphic novel reading. And what happened was people were so excited. They bought them. They posted about them on TikTok. And then a bunch of people reported finding like a yellow discolored strip at the bottom of the display. And it got so bad that as of right now, you go on the Colorsoft Amazon website, it has a 2.5 star rating. It has a 2.5 star rating, almost 1,500 reviews, the highest percentage of them being 1 stars. And it got so bad that according to someone on Reddit, they like talked to Amazon customer service. Customer service was like, actually, Colorsoft shipping will stop for at least a week to deal with a quote software issue. And so people were mad about that. And yet, do you think this was enough to stop the Kindle train?
I'm not sure, especially now that Black Friday, Cyber Week, et cetera, is coming up. I'm sure people will still, even if they can't get the Colorsoft, they'll get the other Kindles that are available because they'll most likely go on sale. And it's a perfect gift.
Yeah. I think a conversation I'm not hearing a lot about in regards to like the overconsumption Kindle Talk vibes is the Jeff Bezos of it all. So Jeff Bezos, obviously, founder of Amazon. One thing that kind of surprised me is just the fact that like over the past few years, I kind of thought there was like a rising anti-Amazon sentiment. This stems from the way that Amazon has allegedly treated warehouse workers, to the way that they've contributed to the death of smaller businesses in possibly every sector. And most recently, I think the anti-Jeff Bezos story has been that the Washington Post, a newspaper he owns, decided not to endorse a candidate for the 2024 U.S. presidential election. According to NPR, over 200,000 subscribers canceled their Washington Post subscription after Bezos allegedly blocked a Kamala Harris endorsement. And the conversation I started seeing after that was like, people are canceling their subscriptions to WAPO, but they're not canceling their Prime. They're not going to Whole Foods. They are so deep in the Kindle Unlimited lore. I just would love to ask for your thoughts on this. Like, is Kindle Talk possibly one of those places where people kind of like put their politics aside? Are Kindles maybe too integral to people's lives to let go? Because I just think it's funny that people are willing to let go of their subscription to the Washington Post, which is literally a newspaper. It's literally for reading, but they won't let go of their Kindle, which is once again literally for reading.
That's a good question. I haven't, honestly, during that whole debacle, didn't see much conversation around, time to cancel your Kindle Unlimited or even your Audible subscriptions. But I also not sure that those two groups of people intersect, the Washington Post subscribers and the Kindle Talk girlies. Or I don't know if those are the same. There's a Venn diagram, I don't know if I think they might still be in separate buckets.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I kind of want to ask if you have any theories as to why this year is the year of the Kindle as opposed to any other e-readers. Because, for example, the Nook, that is the e-reader by Barnes & Noble, guess what? It still exists. It still exists, and it's actually like around the same price. Or the Kobo, which is an e-reader from Rakuten. It's like quite well reviewed, and it's actually a pretty comparable item. I want to ask, why do you think Kindle has kind of emerged as the big winner of this war?
I think it's sort of what we've mentioned of the Amazon ecosystem, right? You get a Kindle, there's Goodreads, there's Prime, there's Kindle Unlimited, there's the Kindle Points Day, which if you buy certain Kindle books, you get points that you then can spend on more books on Amazon. There's reading challenges right on Goodreads. It's just this very crazy ecosystem that, similar to Apple products, sort of keep you looped in and locked in. And it's also something that I think because it came out so long ago, most people are aware of it or have seen it or have heard it and just know it as a device that is probably, works and does its job.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to end on a personal question, which is that I pitched this episode because I am a victim of buying a Kindle at full price in April. I was like Catherine Miller, the anti-book e-reader convert you spoke to. I, for the longest time, was so firmly paperback, and I was literally convinced, you could say brainwashed, I say influenced on TikTok to buy a Kindle. And unfortunately, I love it to the point where, Anne-Marie, I come to you today and I ask the question, should I buy a purse Kindle? Okay, here's the deal. So a purse Kindle is this really small MP3 player. It's not from Amazon, and TikTok users have been uploading the Kindle app onto the small MP3 player. They take it around. It's basically a second e-reader, and it's phone size, so it can fit in any purse. What's interesting is that I saw a TikTok where someone was like, you need to de-influence yourself. Do not buy the purse Kindle specifically. And then someone stitched that and said, buy the purse Kindle. Don't let people tell you what you can or can't do with the money you earned. You are an independent free thinker. And I was like, backlash on backlash in the Kindle subreddit. I can't do this. So Anne-Marie, I have to ask you one source. Black Friday's coming up. Should I buy a second Kindle?
I'm gonna say no
wow.
It's also because I don't know how well it syncs with your books. You might if you read at home and then you want to continue reading, on your way to wherever you're going in your purse, does it sync well? I don't know. At worst, I feel like you should get the smaller Kindle, maybe.
Okay.
The smaller little guy, and carry that around. Like I mentioned in my story too, there's specific purses you can get that fit your Kindle, so you can still bring it with you everywhere if you want to stick to the one Kindle. But I'm not sure about that purse Kindle. It's too crazy of a shot in the dark.
Right. Okay. So what I'm hearing, Anne-Marie, is don't buy purse Kindle, buy purse for Kindle. And yes, I'm on Birkin.com. Yes, I'm on Coachbag.com. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, that's the show. I want to thank Anne-Marie Alcantara for joining me on today's episode. You can find Anne-Marie on Twitter at It's the Anne-Marie, and you can find her work in the Wall Street Journal. We'll be back in your feed on Wednesday, so definitely subscribe. That way, you never miss an episode. Leave us a rating and a review in Apple or Spotify, and tell your friends about us. You can follow us on Twitter at ICYMI_pod, and you can always drop us a note at ICYMI@slate.com. ICYMI is produced by Se'era Spragley Ricks and me, Candice Lim, with production assistance from Alexandra Botti and Kat Hong. Daisy Rosario is our senior supervising producer, and Alicia Montgomery is Slate's vice president of audio. See you online or at Glicked.